Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. Roll call, Manager Silka.
Commissioner Stump.
Here.
Commissioner Atwood.
Here.
Commissioner Blasco.
Here.
Commissioner Zona.
Here.
Commissioner Bevan.
Here.
Commissioner Goss.
Here.
Commissioner Haggis.
Here, could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If any residents would like to speak tonight, you can please sign the book at the podium, please. Thank you. We have one resident tonight, Angela. If you want to come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Can I pull this? Am I allowed to touch
Yeah,
it?
go ahead.
Angela Mosquita, 105 Ward Drive, North Huntington. So I'm here after about a year and a half of issues. So we flooded really bad in late June and July of 2019. I've met with, my husband and I have met with Mr. Silka. We've also met with the Director of Public Works. We've also met with Rob Robinson. They've been to my home to address these issues. And we were told that the township had no liability on it. We were urged to put a claim in through the township's insurance company, which we did. After about 6 months of back and forth, we were ultimately denied of that. We do appreciate the work that had been done, kind of on a spur of the moment type thing. There were curbs put in front of our house. There was some piping that was fixed in the front. And now there's a retention pond at the school that's been being cleared out. So we do appreciate that. However, the main result of the issue is there is a business behind us that has diverted water down to our property, down the hill. Little do they know that there are people who live down there. You cannot divert water to another person's property, and that is the result of our issues. In a December 19th letter from Robert Robinson, and Mr. Silka, you were CC'd on that as well. We were told that he was going to contact the business owner to see if it could be corrected or fixed. To my knowledge, it has not, and I have not heard an update of that since, so it's coming up on a year of that. I also went to the extent of requesting right-to-know forms from the township. Based on the documents that I received, this business owner was not permitted to do the work that he did. He did not receive a permit to do so. During the time of the on-site meeting at my home on July 11th, Richard Alberts did state to me that he was aware that there was some big work going on up there. My question is if there was knowledge of work being done, why didn't anybody check that out? Because I feel, though, as if a zoning officer was there or a permitting officer was there, he would not be permitted to do that work because it has damaged our property significantly. We lost a lot of items as well. If I was getting work done at my house and I didn't have a permit in my window, I would have a knock at my door asking where's my permit, and I'd probably be fined for not having one. So just wanted to get an update since it's been a year and I haven't yet to hear anything.
All right,
Thank you.
Jeff, are you aware about this issue? Maybe you can give us information on it.
I am aware. I know there was an investigation. We were working with the municipal authority. They did some fill. I think it'd be better off if I could present a memo and kind of talk to Bob and see where this is, and then respond back to the commissioners and the property owner. It'd probably be a lot better than trying to stammer through from my memory.
Okay. I appreciate it. We'll get back to you hopefully as soon as we can and have some follow-up for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Anything else to respond to citizens' input? All right, not seeing any. Approval of meetings minutes for the special meeting 10/15/2020.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. For the regular meeting 10/21/2020.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Payment of bills.
Make a motion to pay vouchers 8,678 through voucher 8,745.
Second.
Before we do, I'd like to discuss a few of those items.
Yep.
Oh,
By
sorry.
line? Okay. If anybody wants to take a look at their AP distribution by account number, page 1, there was $27,497 worth of computer, I'll just say stuffy stuff. Is this happen, how often does this happen with DEP Technologies, Inc.?
What this is this is mostly our annual renewals for all of our licenses for going into, as we switched over late in 2020, this is going in, most of this is our renewals. So that we have roughly $100,000 budgeted. We're spending at about $65,000 right now. We're very under budget, but this is renewals for licenses going in for a 12-month period.
Okay. So we're budgeted 100,000, we're at 65, we're well below, 35,000 below.
Yes.
And that's budgeted 100,000 per year?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's go to page 2. All right, page 2 is clear. Can we please go to page 3? There is $13,159.85 worth of topsoil from Norwood Landscape and Pond Supply. What was that used for?
Most of that is probably going to be used to backfill curbs from our paving program,
Okay,
to bring yards up to level.
okay, so that's just being waited on, okay. And then if we go down 2/3 down, we've got where there's on the far right side, $12,245 and $25 worth of inlet box clay fornicos flared in from the Pleasant Unity Supply Company. Could somebody please explain what that is about?
Okay, I'm sorry, where are,
Has to
On
do with the
page
storm
4.
drainage
Page
supplies.
4?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, page 3, 2/3 of the way down. You'll see,
okay.
the number is $12,245.25.
Okay, that'd be Public Works boxes. Rich, you know where those?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir, those are for drainage projects that we had just done recently, along with replacing some items that go to our stockpile.
Those inlet boxes, are those the big concrete things that we see?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And Rich, you might know too about, let's go to the last line item at the very bottom of that page, page 3, stone. Hanson aggregates in the tune of $17,651.32. Rich, I assume you know that?
Yes, that's, again, that's part of our stockpile, that we use stone for everything that, pretty much everything that we do, all the projects we do, taking to our paving program, drainage work, et cetera.
Okay. All right.
Those are all bid items that are put out for bid.
Okay, thank you. Page 4, please, just 2 more items if you'll bear with me. The capital projects, it's a very top line item. I'm looking at repair and installation of 2 internal, and then it stops there, a company known as Brex Enterprises, 4940. What is that? Is that also road, Rich?
Yes, that's pertaining to drainage project. that we've done.
Yeah.
That was an internal
Oh.
remediation project.
What are those at that cost of $49.40? What was that?
That was for contractor Brex Enterprises, for an internal remediation for 2 36-inch diameter pipe near on Burning Oaks Road, to help facilitate that restoration effort.
Okay, thank you. And the other one I see was at the very bottom, the highway paving, which, of course, we know is a big bill.
Yeah, that's out
all the
of, that's out
bill.
of the liquid fuels fund, so that goes.
Right, okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's input. Thank you. That's it.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor by stating aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Staff reports, Public Works report, Director Albert. Anything to add to your report tonight, sir?
I've nothing more to add.
All right. Any questions for Public Works? All right, thank you. Park and Recreations, Director Miller. Anything to add to your report tonight, sir?
I have nothing tonight.
All right. Any questions for Parks and Rec?
I'd just like to thank Dan, Jeff, and Rich for your help with Lions Park, getting that crosswalk for the spring, as well as signage for that area. So thank you for doing that. And Chief Rizzo for your help with that as well.
Dan, I want to thank you for putting me in touch with Shane. Looking real forward to working with him when this project goes down, so thanks for passing along my name.
I thought he made a nice presentation the other day.
Real nice, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Miller. Police report, Chief Rizzo. Any questions for the chief tonight?
Hey, tremendous amount of blood on Colonial Manor up by Strategos. Was something hit, killed? Unbelievable amount of blood. It was a deer, okay. Everybody all right? Okay, all right, okay. Well, I've never seen so much blood, I gotta be honest with you, man. That was unbelievable amount. So, all right, cool. Glad everybody's all right.
Thanks, Chief Rizzo. Engineer report, Engineer Christner, you have anything tonight?
I don't have anything else there.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Emergency Management Coordinator, Bob DiPolito, is here tonight.
Oh, okay.
There was a little typo on the agenda.
Yep. You have anything to present to us tonight?
I thought maybe you were looking for Gene, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, yeah.
No, I don't have a report other than thank you for your vote of confidence and to tell the public that we're at a meeting and we're looking forward to moving on. If there's anybody in the general citizens that'd like to join us, you get ahold of me by email, so we can either do more, but thank you for your confidence here.
All right, thank you. Planning and zoning report, Director Fonzie. Is there any questions on the fire officials report? All right.
I just have one item on the agenda for your approval tonight. It's Subdivision 12 of 2020, the Country Club Drive subdivision. I'm requesting board action to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Solicitor's report. Solicitor Alexander.
Thank you. There are two action items on the Solicitor's report today. The first is action to adopt proposed ordinance number 7 of 2020 for the Township of North Huntington, County of Westmoreland, establishing standards and regulations pertaining to noise.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
The next item is action to adopt proposed ordinance number 8 of 2020 for the Township of North Huntington, County of Westmoreland, establishing standards and regulations, etc., for the North Huntington Township Stormwater Management Ordinance. The final ordinance is posted on the North Huntington Township website.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
That concludes the Solicitor's report. I just want to wish everybody a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Township Manager's report, Manager Silka.
Okay, the first is action to approve the October check register.
Motion to approve.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
The October budget report is provided for your review. The next action item is action to execute the fiscal year 2020-2021 local share agreement with Westmoreland County Transit Authority for $6,027.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
On this item, there was a typo on the numbers, so when I read the motion, or the action item, there will be a little bit different. The action to authorize a partial bond release for Hollybrook Residential Subdivision in the amount of $496,365.83 and retain $171,119.45 as recommended by the Township Engineer.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 7-0.
Next is action to retain McKimmon Creed of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to provide an HVAC evaluation and design for the townhouse for a lump sum fee of $24,700. Funding for this project is in the engineering line item 01-401-313.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, please, I'd like to discuss. Jeff, do we really, really need to have an organization come in and tell us, as opposed to taking a bid? I understand they're credible folks, they got a good reputation, you guys did do your homework, but we're looking at $24,700.
But we don't, the reason we're doing this study and evaluation is we don't know what to bid. What we have here doesn't work, so if we bid an HVAC system, Joe's HVAC can come in and say window units, so-and-so can come in and say you need a complete, geothermal, system. This gives us what, we have a problem. We have high humidity upstairs, we have pockets, we don't have equal zone heating. This study allows an independent third party, not someone associated with selling a system. That's why I precluded anybody who represents a proprietary or single vendor system to bid on this, to come in, take a look at what we have, what our problem is, and how we can best solve it. And at the same time, we're also we're coming at the end of life of ours, that we're cannibalizing other systems out there to fix our problem. So it seems like it's a lot of money, but this could be about $1 million. This could be $1 million item coming up. I think it's $25,000 to tell us what we need and kind of guide us, because nobody here is an HVAC, or a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
I don't recommend spending money simply for the sake of spending money. This is something that we need to guide us through this process.
Yeah, I know that what we discussed last week with the budget and everything like that, I mean, there is apprehension and concern for money. And, and I know a lot of us we don't want to raise taxes. I know it's been a long time since we raised a single millage, but, I just want to be able to, honest to God, look at everything. Do we really, really need it?
My advice would be the due diligence up front would save this, save yourself and other commissioners from making a $1 million mistake to be, down the road to be repaired.
This commissioner's not spending $1 million on that. I'll tell you that right now. All right, I understand where you're coming from. I just want to make sure that, I know that we're putting our ducks in a row in order to have this. And I understand we have an outside agency willing to come in and take a look at this at no benefit of them, other than the fact of $24,700. And they're going to make their...
And this takes us from evaluation through bidding documents. So, I mean, there's not, they don't get 7% of the installation. This is an all-inclusive lump sum in 3 different stages.
Right.
Evaluation, recommendation, bidding documents, construction management.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other discussion? I guess I have some I brought up last meeting. About a few years ago, about a year ago, if not maybe a little bit longer. Craig, if you can remind me if we're wrong, when we had, was it Tower Co. settlement? Was that about a year and a half ago?
Tower Co?
Not Tower Co., excuse me, for Eads.
Yes.
And what was the amount that we settled for that on
I
that?
don't recall the amount that Chelsea settled that case.
If I'm not mistaken, I think.
Three
Yeah, I was going to say it was around
300,000.
300,000. So that's why we're currently in this situation. And when this system was installed some years ago, it never worked correctly. And this is probably going back 10 years, if not more, if I'm not mistaken, Craig. And through that time, we were in litigation because we were trying to find a engineer that would come out and actually say, what's wrong with your system? Why was it designed incorrectly? The commissioners at that time, the majority, which I opposed, settled with them, the Eads company, at that rate around $300,000. And then we're going to have to retrofit, like you said, about $1 million possibility. It was at my intention at that time that I wanted them to come in to fix the system that they installed that wasn't working, but it was the board's pleasure to take that settlement at that time. So I mean, doing the due diligence, which Manager Silk is explaining to, is probably well spent money, but I'm just a little upset that we're in a situation where we're going to have to spend money where a company came in, gave us a faulty system, and the commissioners at that time, like I said, I voted against it. We're okay taking a $300 settlement for a system that doesn't work and never has.
Yeah.
Any other board discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, next is action to authorize the demolition of property located at 8601 Liberty Avenue, Westmoreland City, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Ordinance 965.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Action to accept the bid of Shady Excavating of $11,000 for demolition of property located at 8601 Liberty Avenue, Westmoreland City, Pennsylvania.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion.
Jeff, will the $11,000 be put on the owner's responsibility to pay us back?
Yes, what we do is we lien the property.
Right. Okay. Have we been in touch with these guys? What, are they brothers? And we've not heard from them?
Well, the property owners have not responded to anything.
To nothing.
So
Right.
what we'll do is we will, when we demolition the property, we will have our solicitors attach a lien to the property, then anytime whenever it's transacted. Now, we've only gotten one lien returned back since 2010, but if it does sell, we do get the $11,000 back
Gotcha.
at closing.
That's our protection?
Yes.
Is that lien? Right. Roger.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? We have a motion, the second. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Next is action to authorize the amending the residential use table, Table 4 in the zoning ordinance to add backyard chicken keeping as a conditional use in zoning districts R2, R3, and R4, and set the hearing fee at $590.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
I would just like to say that I think that this policy is discriminatory against lower-income individuals. I think it's going to cause, if anybody decides to do this, it's going to cause additional burden to our staff, and I'm personally opposed to it. I feel the ordinance would have been a better use of township time, and we would have been able to get at least a little bit of revenue if we would have done the ordinance for a $50 fee, but I don't see anybody paying $590 to have 4 chickens.
I have a comment as well. I was in favor of researching the conditional use. However, I think it's just become cost prohibitive for most people in North Huntington Township to pay the fee in order to have a few chickens.
Any other board discussion? Have a motion and second. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, Manager Silka.
Commissioner Stump,
No.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Blasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Zona,
Yes.
Commissioner Bevan,
No.
Commissioner Goss,
No.
Commissioner Hygus.
Yes. Motion passes 4-3.
Okay, if it so pleases the board, I have 2 additional items that came in actually this week. If we could do those before we go to the budgets?
Yeah, just if you want to read them both, and we'll add them to the
Yep.
agenda.
Yes, I have 2 resolutions for plan revision for new land development. One is for the Penn Irwin Place, and the other is for Country Club Subdivision Lot 1.
Just need a motion to add to the agenda.
I make a motion, we add that to the agenda.
And I'll
this evening.
second that.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. If you want to read them, and then we'll take any public input after you read the first one, Jeff.
Okay, first is a resolution for plan development for new land development for Penn Irwin Place, which is the AutoZone coming in at that area.
Does any public want to put any input in? Not seeing any, just need a motion to act on it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 7-0.
And the second one is a resolution for plan revision for new land development for the Country Club Drive Subdivision Lot Number 1, which was actually approved this evening for Irwin Hotels Associates LP.
Motion to approve.
Discussion. All those in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
And the final item on the agenda is action to advertise the 2021 tentative budget for public inspection.
Mo-
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I have two things that I want to discuss. The first is the use of the township vehicles. I feel the township has to find a better way to extend the life of our vehicles and repurpose vehicles that they are cost-effective but still safety for the township. As we bring on new vehicles, I'm not sure, Jeff, are we lowering our coverage as far as insurance goes, taking off the collision, comprehensive? How does that work with our insurance policies?
What we do is whenever we take a vehicle off, which we take it out of our fleet, once a year we update our vehicle cover, our fleet coverage. So those are taken out for January 1st. This year, we're not taking out, we're actually repurposing two vehicles. One police cruiser is going to the Detective Bureau, and the oldest sedan is going to the administrative staff. So they will stay on. We don't have, we just have one blanket coverage.
Okay. And the second thing I wanted to discuss is following up on Commissioner Hoggis's discussion of dispatch. And I'm not necessarily in favor of getting rid of our dispatch, especially as Chief Rizzo, who I see as a coach of our team, says that's kind of the quarterback for his program. But I would be willing to have a discussion with the board if willing to be said. My concerns would be, would removing our dispatch negatively affect the safety of our township residents and first responders? Jobs that would be possibly lost by the dispatchers themselves in the township, and just more or less the response times. But that is a large potential cost savings. Again, I'd be willing to meet with Chief Rizzo. I understand that our fire department EMS respond off of a different system, but
EMS is, sorry to interrupt you, but EMS is still currently dispatched
Okay.
through local dispatch. It's just the fire
just the
departments
fire
or
departments.
911.
But I'd be willing to have that conversation, not saying I'm supporting, disbanding our dispatch, but that is a heavy ticket item that I would be willing to at least look at.
I'd like to speak in response to that. I actually did meet with about a dozen officers about an hour and a half ago, including Chief and Lieutenant McCurdy. They gave me a list of 122 duties that the dispatch is responsible for. In addition, each individual one has about another 20 to 25 more. I feel that the level of service that our dispatch provides cannot be measured in dollars. We may have saved $400,000, however, it's going to cost us more in the long run than it is while we're saving today. These officers are out there every day, doing their job, and the dispatch team helps them. They do a lot more than just answer the phones and radio. They watch prisoners in cells, so we don't have liability suits against us. They do far more than just answering the phones and like I said, calling using the radio to call the officers. I would suggest any other board member to go down and sit with them, see what they do during a day. I went on a ride along a few months ago, and I really have a new respect for what these officers do, and I feel that cutting the dispatch department would do a tremendous disservice to our community and our residents, and I will definitely be against cutting that from the budget.
Any other board discussion?
Just real briefly, I'd like to echo what Jason just said. I was involved in that personally for 31 years. I know what the local dispatch does. We had it with the state police. The state police years ago tried to go to a consolidated dispatch throughout the state and have 5 dispatch centers to dispatch all the state troopers, and it failed miserably. They opened 2 dispatch centers, and they ended up disbanding it and going away from the program because it failed. Yeah, I can talk for 2 hours on this, which I'm not going to. I just want to be real brief that I do support that too. And I think, as you said, Jason, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives on having our own dispatch.
Any other discussion? All right, I had some questions for Jeff, and I guess more so to the board. So I asked this last week, Jeff, but just for maybe people that weren't here last week, what are some of the main drivers? Or budget for money we spent really increased on basically 18 and 19 from 2017?
It was stormwater projects, landslides, and increased road spending were our three main drivers.
All right, and then for the fund balance, you kind of alluded to this last month, but what will be our projected fund balance at the end of this year?
We're probably going to be about 2.5 to 2.75 million.
Okay, and then we'll be utilizing 1.4 of that to
1.11.
1.14?
Yes.
Okay, and then what percent of that fund balance policy will be there? Because the fund balance policy states that we keep 25%
Right.
in case of like you said, a landslide or something major happen in the township that we have to spend money on.
If we would pass it now with the projected balance, we'd probably be between 15 and 17% of fund balance.
So we would have to amend the fund balance policy to 15 to 10%.
Yes, I mean, what I would, you wouldn't have to do it immediately, but possibly in the third or fourth quarters that we'd see, whenever we'd actually see how we're flushing out.
All right. And you mentioned in your memo with the budget that it's important for municipalities to keep some more of a fund balance just in case other municipalities have to take a TAN, as you would call it, a loan basically out for projected taxes revenue coming in before they actually come in.
Correct.
So basically, we'd be okay for next year, but future years, if we would spend down that 25% number, we would be taking out a TAN against the township every year.
Yes, it'd be hard for me to say that at 2022, we'd be able to do it out of fund balance.
Okay. And then you mentioned in here, which is a whole different mess that we'll have to deal with, the MS4.
Yes.
I know you mentioned here that the First Township Code does not allow us to create authority for stormwater management. Would it be something worth the board sending a letter to our state reps to maybe put interest in for that?
Just correct. One is, we can create an authority. We can't
Yeah.
charge a direct fee. The township code was just redone this year, and that was taken out, so I don't think it's going, it could help, but I don't think they're going to review the first-class code, because whoever the political driver was had that take, because that was in there, and that made it in there, but it was taken out prior to passage.
All right. And then you gave us some impact options, which would maybe alleviate us to save some money. I know you mentioned about raising taxes, and I've always been a proponent of not raising taxes. I think the township's done a pretty good job being a steward of the taxpayers' dollars. I know I get calls often saying, well, why are you raising our taxes? And I say, well, you're calling the wrong board member. You got to call the school district. And not to talk bad about the school district, but they're the ones raising your taxes every year to the legal amendment without putting it on for a vote. But we haven't raised taxes since I've been on the board, and we actually lowered them when I first was elected. And I like to keep the taxes where they are for the township residents, knowing that the school board's going to raise them every year. Out of those impact options, what would be your recommendation other than raising taxes?
The only other one that has actually, meat is transferring dispatch to the county. I mean, because that is one service that is provided that would be no cost to us. And the other ones were small ones that didn't take away any service, was charging fees for activity, and that's not going to get us a lot of funds. And the other one is maybe delaying crack sealing a year or two, but that's de minimis. So the two main ones were raising taxes and transferring dispatch to Westmoreland County.
Okay. And then the only other question I had in here was one, and you maybe explained this last week. Under general administrations, there was consulting services for architectural review.
Yes.
What was that for again?
What that is for is the second floor utilization, just to get some spatial outlays.
All right. Is that something we could possibly do in-house? Because that was a $25,000 hit. Not that that's that big of
Yeah.
in the whole chunk, but is that something we could possibly look at with our township engineer possibly?
Yes.
Or someone
And,
in-house?
we can reduce that line item down a little bit.
Okay.
Take that 25,000 out.
And then I guess, kind of as you alluded to, and which some of the commissioners already talked about before. I brought up this, I think, when I first was elected about the dispatch, and by all means, I think our dispatch is top-notch, and what they have to work with and what they do is top-notch, and I think the work they do is excellent. By no means is it ever attack on dispatch. I think they're the greatest, but I have a hard time asking the township residents to pay for something twice when through their own, phone bills at home, their cell phone bills, they're paying for 911 dispatch, where it's a duplication of services. Eventually, we're going to either have to raise taxes or look at what kind of money we spend as this board here, and kicking the can down the road till the next year, till the next year. Well, next year, as Jeff alluded to, is coming probably next year. So either this board or the future board is going to have to raise taxes or look at what else you're going to have to do to alleviate money to be spent somewhere.
And I do just want to comment that I have supported Chief Rizzo in his decision to want to keep the dispatch on board. And again, that's why I'm willing to have a conversation to see if it's feasible or if it's practical. And I'm not saying that I would be for or against it, but just having that open conversation. And Jason, I loved your ideas. Again, if you would like to share those with me later on. Ron, I know I value your opinion because, again, you've been in the profession, but I think it's a conversation to at least have.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely a sense of service they have. They look at a call log every day. They can tell an officer if they're responding to a house. Maybe there was a call there the previous day where they might not get to get that direct contact if they were at 911. So there's definitely a benefit to having local dispatch. I would never argue against that. It's just the cost of the duplication of services where we could have that service provided elsewhere at not a cost of the township. Any other board discussion?
Go ahead, Jason.
I just have one other question regarding all of the 1,000% increases in workman's compensation.
Okay. What, in the past, if you look, there's been like small line items, they just kind of guesstimated very small line items to each department. And then at the end, there was a big line item. So what I did was actually assign the true, workers' comp didn't go up at all. It's just I assigned the true cost of workers' comp to each department. So it's more of a better picture. It's a real picture. It's not the $1,500 for administration, $3,500 for dispatch, then $300,000 in a bottom line item to even it out. This takes out and assigns the true cost of our insurances.
Jeff, do we have any wiggle room in the telephone? Because that's a big line item too.
I mean, the telephone, most of that is cell, is our, and also the wireless that we use on all of our surfaces or in all of our devices. We get a really cheap plan because we get our phones for $1. And then we're with Verizon, and we just restructured that plan about 1.5 years ago, where they came in and we whacked out about 35% of our annual rates. So we're pretty low right now, and as we're expanding it into the wireless to have all of our tracer and everything wireless, there's a small cost that comes with that, but on the other side, the productivity of having somebody go out, GPS, hit the photo, everything uploads. We save steps down in the back end office.
Thank you.
Jeff, trimming some of the budget, I mean, I believe last week we spoke about $30,000 for office furniture. I mean,
Yeah.
I really, if we could really just go line item by line item and really see, I mean, 30,000 in furniture, do we really need that?
Well, it's furniture, it's carpeting, it's taking planning up and expanding the police department. So if you take a look at a couple different offices, 30,000 is, moving phones. It's not a big number in what we get out of it, rather than having to try to expand the police department physically by allowing them to move planning to the upstairs. There's going to be greater efficiencies actually getting people out of closets.
Yeah, I mean, I understand
Yeah.
that, but I also, do you remember back in the day when you used to get a cell phone bill and it was itemized?
Right.
Yeah, so you
Well-
have a 36% call here, a 24-cent call there, and by the time you got to page number 17, you were like $230 of a phone bill, and you're like, oh my God. But you know what it was? It was all those little fees, 36 cents here, 25 cents here, 30,000 for furniture. I mean, my point is, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but on the grand scope of thing, you take so many $30,000 hits, And before you know it, man, you're cresting in on $100,000, and then before
Well,
you know it.
I understand,
you're
but
in
if
the
you look at
millions.
an office chair is $300 to $500 for a chair. I mean, you know, a table's $1,000, a conference table's $1,000.
Yeah.
That's, you know, we have to spend, we have to be able to have the tools to do the job. And we're not going buying top end of the furniture, that's a guesstimate of $30,000, or we're gonna spend less than, most likely. But it's, you know, we try to get carpeting under our, you know, to just carpet the front suite, that it's gonna be myself, system manager, and an administrative constable, so get us out of the main workforce. You know, carpet came in at $5,000 bid, so we didn't do it this year because I think they're probably about $1,500 is too much. So, you know, we're looking to economize, but when we move everything up, it's a mess up there. I don't know if, you know, maybe we can walk in and just see the condition of how everything was left. They had, pets were brought in on a normal basis, so we have to have some things deep cleaned. It seems like a lot, but for what's going to happen at the end of it, the $30,000, if it spends $30,000, is going to give, you know, the detective, you know, give the police department an expansion without any physical cost.
Right.
And that's what's happening. We're running a couple offices short. Whenever we move, we're planning to move everything we can move. A couple desks we know have been there since creation aren't going to move. We tried to move one desk to put a Vera desk on, and we almost lost it. So we know that we're going to lose a little bit of furniture, simply because once you move it away from the wall, it's going to cave in. But we're going to be very vigilant.
That's, okay, and that's the word I was hoping to hear. I mean, I wasn't, trust me, I wasn't setting you up and I wasn't picking you on you. But I mean, vigilance in trying to save the township.
And quite
money.
frankly, there's a place in McKees Rocks that has some odds and ends, has some slightly gently used furniture that I've used in the past. So we're going to look to get the most bang for the buck.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other board discussion on the budget? All right, kind of like I said, I think I'm okay putting a motion out to approve and, you know, put this out to publish. But if we approve the budget as is, we're basically just kicking the can down the road for next year, either to raise taxes or to see where we can find money next year, which we'll probably be having the same conversation, that we don't want to cut any services, so that would leave us one option at that time. Just need a motion to publish the proposed budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor by saying an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Roll call, Manager Silka.
Commissioner Stump,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood. No. Commissioner Blasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Zona,
Yes?
Commissioner Bevan,
Yes.
Commissioner Goss,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagas.
Yes. Motion passes 6-1.
That's all I have this evening.
All right. Any further board comments tonight?
Just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and if you choose not to wear your mask going over friends or family's house despite governor orders, we won't send the police department to your house here. So have a happy Thanksgiving.
I just wanted to say too, even though we're publishing the budget, we can always make changes to that budget as well.
Anything else on the board? Just need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by saying an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 7:46.